Hi there, it's time for Wyckoff speedrun. This time we're going to go through 18 gaming and meme coins. So let's get started. If you're new to my sessions, these are the 3 key items I'll cover during the session. And these are only my personal observations and opinions to discuss with the community here as well as for educational purpose. And these are not financial advice. So let's start with the very first one. APE. So I have further changed a little bit. So the coin name is on the top right hand corner if you're trying to look for what I'm talking about. And we're looking at the weekly chart with the Wyckoff text. The orange ones are the accumulation cycle and the blue ones are the distribution cycle. Currently, APE is within the accumulation cycle. It's probably around 1/3 or mid stage at least of the accumulation, and it's currently still going through the paper hands, diamond hands test. The selling climax appeared sometime in April this year. So what to expect is that while it's still seemingly seeking the bottom of the accumulation, which back in October, we all know the October 10th, right? But if we look to the left for APE, actually in March, in the week of March 10th, okay, again around the 10th, it set a similar low. That's the red key level of 11 cents. All right, so for APE itself, this seek to the bottom may get as low as that point, unfortunately. All right, not saying that it must get to there, but there's a tendency. When we get to the daily chart, we'll be able to see a little bit more. And obviously, we hope to see a sign of strength, meaning the price come back to challenge the blue key level of 73 cents with a significant volume, like a significant white bar. I need to enlarge this a couple of times. Yeah, something like what we see in June. Okay, we want to see that happen. Now, let's get to the daily chart. Here, the trend, the downtrend is still going on, even though it's a little bit gradual. It's like the October 10th has cut the gradual downtrend into 2 parts. The trajectory looks a little bit steeper than what we had starting around mid-late July. So let's draw an air hockey table. If you're new to this concept, the air hockey table helps you to visualize. Imagine the candlesticks or the path they build is the path of the puck, traveling along the air hockey table. It bounces between the edges of the table as well as one line, the center line. And the center line doesn't have to cut the box in exactly half. It basically lines on where the most concentrated candlesticks head and tails are. Alright, so for this one, for APE in this case, is somewhere around this point. And currently, over the past couple of days, it's been trying to go above the center line, but still being suppressed as of this moment. The price range or the price spread was pretty low over the past couple of days, those 3 days, but today it starts to get a little bit wider. But the volume, good thing is the volume is still low. So that's something we want to see on the red day if you want to see some change to the upside. Let's adjust this box tighter so we can better assess. Okay, another use of this box besides checking where it's going to bounce. Let's say if we need to adjust because in the future, because when the price continues to trade downwards, so from this view to the previous view where this was lining towards the center line, it looks quite different, right? Reason being, we've got too few reference points. So we've got one over here. This can be another bunch. We've got one over here, and roughly about here. When we get more points to reference, then we'll know which way the box is actually going. Alright, I'm picking a less steep path right now, assuming that's the case. The previous one, that the candlestick are aligning to the center line, gives us a steeper trend. You see, I'm picking this path right now, which is closer to what's happening over here. So that steeper path may not suit the current case. So if this downtrend continues, another use of this box is that when there are these kind of lines, may it be key levels or intermediate levels. No, unfortunately, there are no intermediate levels of this moment. Let's say we've got one around here formed by the recent 8 to 10 days of trading activities. All right. When this line crosses either the ceiling, the bottom, center line more indicates whether it's moving towards the stronger side of the table. And that means when it trades towards the stronger side of the table, the chance of it breaking outside of the trend is getting higher. So let's assume we don't wait till the very deep into 2026, like second quarter at least, if I extend this box all the way to the red line. That's pointing towards April, 10th of April. Let's say it's about to finish and it bottom out. Just an assumption, okay? This one points to February 22nd. Alright, that's what I'm trying to explain to you, is that when it trades towards this triangle, the chance of it breaking outside of the downtrend, confirming that a trend change, will get closer when we get to mid-late February. That's the assumption with this horizontal dash line as the support. Okay, not saying this is one. This is probably very temporary. All right. Okay, so that's for APE, and then we move on to XE Infinity. So AXS, it's in the early accumulation stage, different from APE, and it's probably somewhere between the preliminary support and the selling climax. I explained in yesterday's session that even though the volume has declined quite a bit and the spread as well, that's one thing that I also try to look at, is the shape of the candlesticks. Currently, there's still quite a bit of long wicks from the top. That's why I'm not declaring that the selling climax has appeared. It's very close. It may soon be confirmed in the next week or two, the quickest. Okay, it can take a little longer. However, look at where October 10th landed. It landed on the orange key level of 79 cents. Currently, the price, especially this week, when it tried to go over the yellow key level of $1.03, it got heavily rejected. All right. So that's the big picture. We would see after the selling climax the automatic rally. That's the likely case. It will bounce up from this point, but how far does it go? Like, is it going to go to the green key level of 2.18, or is it going to just bounce to this intermediate level of around 1.65? That's something we don't know yet. Okay, let me draw this line again. Yeah, somewhere around 1.65. So after the automatic rally, there is also a chance, a lot of times, that it comes back to somewhere near the selling climax level to do a bunch of paper hands or diamond hands tests. Okay, that's what the big guys would do. They try to shake out as many people as possible before they drive the next run to the distribution cycle. Now, daily charts. Sorry, the computer today seems loading the charts a bit slow. I have to reset something afterwards. And here, we already talked about it's waiting for the selling climax, and we can take a look at this, and it actually confirms why I am trying to wait for a couple of more days before confirming that. I need to zoom in real large. So look at the volume and the candlesticks. They are still kind of, you know, edging lower and lower. And if I draw the same air hockey table, right, this downtrend is still going on. And this time we've got more reference points, which is better than what we see in the APE case just now. So we've got the two bottoms over there and a couple of peaks. Alright, and then obviously the center line. So here, it has been trading along the stronger half of the box. However, it was supposed to confirm by December 19th. Obviously, it can confirm sooner whether a trend change is coming. Like, it has been trading sideways for about 8 to 10 days, trying to stay above the 1.03 yellow key level. However, today, it just confirmed that, you know, it is deciding to go to the south side. Of course, there's still over 3 hours left. You know, it can turn into a cross or even climb up and close higher. So if it doesn't, if it really goes challenge the orange key level of 0.79, let's extend this table or channel a little bit longer. That's pointing towards the 7th of January. All right, I'm referring to this point over here. So around the first week of January, we've got another chance, or you know, XE got another chance to confirm a trend change. Okay, so let's see whether that's the case, whether it's really going to challenge this orange key level and eventually changes its path from, you know, trending downwards towards at least trending sideways, if not like bouncing upwards. Because remember, the backdrop in the weekly view is that it's trying to seek or reach the selling climax, and after that it should go to the automatic rally, right? But don't assume it's like a V shape all the time. Sometimes it would take like a more like a U shape or an inverted trapezium. Try to imagine that shape. Yeah, okay, without the bottom. Now let's move on to BONK. So BONK, again, early accumulation stage. So I'm not going to repeat what we are expecting and what's going to happen next. Just that for BONK, it may have reached the selling climax. You're looking at the candlesticks over here with quite a bit of buying, and you know, it's flattening along the orange key level of 90. So I'm skipping the leading zeros, just talk about the digits near the end. So that's something that may be different from, you know, XE or a couple of other coins that are to come. Just that the wicks are still, you know, pushing it towards the orange. That's the thing that, you know, I always say, like similar to XE. This seems to be where it is, but the actions, the price actions, is still fighting. Okay, the bulls and the bears are still fighting. You know, let's go lower, or don't go above the orange key level. That's what it is doing now. So it's closer than XE, but still it's not a certain thing until it bounces off to show us the automatic rally. All right, that's the big picture. Daily chart. Here, looking at this, I shouldn't move them. So it's flattening, okay? It is definitely finding support for quite a number of occasions. This, and now this. And every time, if I move this a little bit higher, zoom in a lot more. So what I'm trying to show you is that we want to see lower volume in red, especially when it comes closer to the orange key level of 90, all right? And it has been doing that. On December 7th, on just today, it has been doing that. What we want to see, even more is that something like this, the white candlestick with higher volume bar. Currently, it still hasn't do it. The one on December 10th, just 4 days ago, even though it's a red candle, the volume was higher. However, the price spread wasn't too large compared to December 9th. So it looks to me there's somebody buying within this red candle. All right, so that's not like a very bad sign at all. If it's something that looks like December 5th that comes back down to touch the orange key level with this higher volume, that would be a little bit more worrying. But this looks a little bit healthier than that particular scenario. Okay, so let's hope it's really is where the selling climax is. Okay, not going back to where the October 10th tested, that red key level of 40. Okay, it's almost like, it's actually less than half of where it is now. So next is Bread. Bread, again, it seems to be coming out from the selling climax, heading towards the automatic rally. However, you see very similar scenarios that when it tries to get to the key level above, for this case is 2 cents 30, it's got rejection, for 3 consecutive weeks. So we're hoping to see this coming, just to know that more tests may come. Sometimes during accumulation, it may last for a very short period, okay, maybe 5-6 weeks. But a lot of times, it also comes to test for a prolonged period before a sign of strength appears, and then eventually shoot up. This may or may not appear. It's not like 100% of times it happens. Sometimes it's just shoot up without that sign of strength. So what do we see from the daily charts? This one, again, traveling sideways for almost 3 weeks now. Starting somewhere around here on November 12th, actually 4 weeks. So let's hope it continues, even if it range bound between the red key level of 1 cent 06 and 2 cent 30. It's still better than trending downwards. So if I were to draw this, let's assume it's the less steep scenario that we are going through. This one is better because for XC's case, this isn't, it's not bouncing as high as this one, because currently for this one, we've got this wrong pen, we've got this peak, we've got these peaks, and we've got these lows that, at least 5 points we can line up to form this air hockey table, and that helps a lot compared to just 3 or less points. So that's where we're going, and currently it's trading on the stronger side of the channel. And if we just look at the key levels, if I extend this further, this is pointing towards the 8th of January. Obviously, it can confirm a trend change sooner if this level really is where the support is. Alright? An intermediate support at around 1 cent 50. It found support once, November 17th, and then December 1st. The couple of days it has been staying above this line. So if that is really staying, this points to somewhere around Boxing Day, okay, well before January the 8th. But if it does come back down to challenge the red key level, that's the trend change opportunity that we are looking at, after the Boxing Day, if this dash line is broken. Next, Dogecoin. Weekly view. Come on. Yeah. So here, it's probably still going through the preliminary support stage. The volume has become lower, so we may be close to the selling climax again. Alright? Even for Doge. And after that, AR, the automatic rally, and maybe more tests coming. Okay? Of course, there can be a sign of strength, and even after a sign of strength, there can be a mega shakeout that goes very deep compared to the selling climax and the tests themselves. So, similar picture, just that it hasn't shown a sign of flattening, at least in the weekly view. So let's go to the daily. So the past week or two, the price has been trading between, largely between the green key level of 14 cents 06 to slightly above the 14 cents 90. All right, it went a little bit higher to somewhere between the light blue and the blue key level. However, since then it's been declining. The only positive thing so far, okay, even by looking at this today's candle, the volume has been lower on the day that it drops, and also similar to the couple of others we just talked about, there's seemingly an intermediate support. For this one is around 13 cents 50. If this continues to provide support, then we will get a confirmation of trend change pretty soon. So let's assume this is the channel. Again, we've got a decision to make, whether to make it a steeper trend or a more gradual trend. Let's assume it's a more gradual one for now. And don't forget about the center line. Currently it's trading slightly towards the stronger side of the channel. So if this really continues above the horizontal dash line that we have drawn just now, this points to 4th of Jan. Remember, it can always break out sooner. So if it climbs back to above the green, that changes to near the end of the year, around 29th, 30th. Even better, 21st of December in a week, but it's a little bit tougher to go above the light blue key level of 14 cents 90, because you see this wick from the top just 5 days back. Okay, it's not something easy to be achieved. So that's where it's going. It's still within the downtrend. pending for confirmation to come near the beginning of the year. If, however, it really turned south, the volume today doesn't seem like it's indicating it's going south, but assuming that's going to happen, if it gets to the point where the ceiling crosses the yellow key level of 12 cents 45, that's pointing to January 11th of January. All right, so 3 different time points. As soon as around the year end, right after Christmas, the second, the beginning of the year, and the third, the second week of January. All right, that's for Dogecoin. And now let's get to decentralized Mana. So for Mana, it's same stage. Interesting, right? A lot of them are going through the period of confirming this selling climax. So you have heard me talk about this enough in the previous video. So let's go straight to the daily chart. I'm not sure what's happening with the browser today. It's been pretty slow. Strange. It must be this computer. Alright, so this quickly, just a trend box. Again, this looks a little bit similar to XE, where there's no peak, and it's just a choice that we're doing, picking a more gradual trend. Instead of going this way, we go this way. But later price actions will confirm, so let's not worry about it at the moment, because the key thing is that we know it's still in a downtrend. You see this path is quite different from the previous ones, right? Over the past 2 to 3 weeks. Those that exhibited a horizontal, you see a line over there. Currently, there's none for Mana. So it's still trying to go above the center line of the air hockey table, which remains a challenge, at least for the short term, and pointing towards the orange key level of 12 cents 22. That's somewhere right before New Year's Eve for the center line I'm referring to. Okay, assuming it finally finds support at the orange key level, and it's started to trade sideways. When it hits somewhere around here, it started to trade sideways and towards this triangle. This points to somewhere near 22nd, 23rd of January, and then it will confirm a trend change. Of course, it can start sooner and go to the automatic rally. Not saying it's going directly to the green key level. It can end up at the yellow key level of 19 cents 47. Just parking the AR there, just to let you know what to expect next after the selling climax is confirmed. Alright, looking at the volume is not too bad, because this day with higher volume, sorry, the thing is blocking, the disclaimer is blocking your view. So December 11th, this with a high volume, actually if we look at the candlestick, there's a wick from the bottom, meaning the bulls are pushing the price back higher. So there was quite a bit of buying over there. So it's not too bad. The subsequent days, the volume has been consistently low. We want to see something like what we had on December 2nd with higher volume and a white candlestick. Alright, that's what we hope to see for Mana. Alright, then with dog with a hat. Yes, a lot of interesting memes has shown up. Remember what I said, for coins with less than 2 years old, coins that are less than 2 years old, it's always a risk that its profile has not been completely defined. For this case, with looks to me a little bit better. At least we see there was a distribution, and this what we have gone through, or what WIF has gone through during the earlier 3/4 of the year, seems to be another mini distribution. All right, and again, the selling climax seems to have appeared for WIF. What we're hoping or waiting to see is the automatic rally. Daily chart. Time for charting the air hockey table. You see the not only horizontal, actually for WIF is exhibiting an uptrend. Right? You see this trend line over here. Okay, so if I draw this wick over here is going to confuse us, because when I draw a trend box, assuming it's going less steep, you know, this has gone way above. So those outliers, not sure what happened. Maybe somebody fat fingered, or you know, some robot fat fingered. Anyway, I'm going to exclude those kind of outlier events for now. What's more important for WIF is that you see this uptrend line is forming a triangle with the orange key level of 41 cents. Okay, 41 cent 30, or if you want to be exact. So it's been trading narrower and narrower. So by the time we get to Christmas or New Year, or like Silent Night, it may confirm two things: break outside of the downward channel and break above the orange key level. All right. Tuesday, the 9th of December, it kind of, you know, did it once. It's closed above the orange line just to get back the next day. Okay, the volume was not low as well the next day when it dropped back. So I would say what happened over the past 3-4 days, where it found support from the bottom, and you know, today's candle, even if it comes down, the volume is way lower than the previous, like 11th and 12th. Let's hope that's really going to continue above this dashed line that I've just drawn and break outside of the channel box. Because otherwise, if it, you know, the pessimistic scenario, if it bounces from this edge of the table and comes back down to the red, then we have to wait for quite a while before it eventually breaks, or it eventually gets a chance, closer chance. You know, it's almost late March. So let's hope this is where it's heading, you know, towards the automatic rally for WIF. Okay, from this point going forward, you know, depending on where the AR is going to end, you know, it may be the yellow key level of 0.563, or somewhere lower, because you know, there are definitely intermediate levels that we can take reference from the previous candles, even though you know, WIF is pretty young. You know, these intermediate levels around 48 cents, that's one that we can take reference from recent price actions. Okay, next, FARTCOIN. All right, there we go. FARTCOIN is a little bit ahead of the game compared to the, you know, the 6 or 7 that we just covered. It seems to be defining the automatic rally. That's usually the accumulation cycle trading range top. Okay, you see it tries to reach to the yellow key level of 446, but it got rejected somewhere close to the top of these two candlesticks defined during mid-late October. So that's the big picture. It may come down for more tests, and when we get to the daily chart, we can draw the box and see where it's going. Not that there's like particular particularly obvious trend. Let's assume this uptrend is what we're trying to track, but we know that if this really is the automatic rally, it's going to eventually break the trend and come down to more tests. That's a more likely scenario, not a must, because sometimes after the automatic rally, okay, it comes down slightly and then it bounces to a sign of strength and then goes up. You know, those can happen. Those scenarios can happen. So I have to let you know, what like usually we see or what can still happen even though the chance is low. Okay, so let's assume this is the uptrend that it has been going through. It's getting very close to dropping outside of this uptrend. Okay, if it really edges higher to once again challenge the yellow key level, that's pointing towards December 28th. Alright, but it has been flattening out. You see this resistant line that's been stopping it from going above. That's somewhere around 38 cents 60. Okay, let's see whether it really is going to drop outside of this box before the 20th. So in less than a week's time, is it going to really fall outside? Next, FLOKI. So FLOKI, where are you? Again, somewhere between the preliminary support and the selling climax, and waiting for automatic rally to come. Okay, this hasn't been defined yet. Again, some long wicks from the top. This inverted pin, let's wait for another week and see what's going to develop. The volume has gone lower, which on red candles are a good sign if you're waiting for the price to go up. In the daily view, let's draw the table again. Alright, let's assume it's going through a less steep decline like the other ones. So currently it's traveling on the stronger half of the box of the table. Alright, or the channel if you like. So where does it point to, like a breakout opportunity outside of the downtrend? So if it continues to trade sideways, you see this flat line over here. But today it is coming slightly lower. So this may not hold, like one of the coins that we covered earlier. We draw this line, today it's coming down, so it may re-challenge the green key level of 412. Again, I'm skipping the leading zeros. So where it is pointing to, assuming it climbs back, there's still roughly 3 hours left today for today's candle. This one points to 10th of January. If it really comes down to the green, then 18th of Jan, so roughly a week apart. And eventually, really, if it goes to the yellow key level, that's not even where the October 10th tested. It's going to near the end of Jan. So 3 potential time points depending on how far or how deep it eventually finds the support. And once that's confirmed, once that selling climax is confirmed, then eventually it will travel at least sideways and slightly going up, slowly going up to the automatic rally. It depends on where the capital or the composite main or the whales are trying to pump the next one. Then we have GALA. So for GALA, it has been going for a very, very deep test. Okay, this week there's still suppression when it tries to go retest the yellow key level of 879. Currently, it's finding support above the orange key level of 680, and that's a bit of a challenge. there are quite a number of altcoins that are exhibiting this kind of behavior. This is certainly not the lowest level. The October 10th tested the red key level of 259. Alright, so if we look to the left, there's no more references we can find for GALA at this price level. So the only remaining one is the week of October 10th. Let's hope it doesn't go all the way to that red key level and stays around this orange key level. So what we hope to see is the next sign of strength, okay, to come back to around where the automatic rarely tested. So it's somewhere around here, 0.02, roughly around 2 cents. Okay, that's almost 3 times from the current price level. Daily chart. So for daily, we see this flat bottom. That's a good sign to start with. The red candles, this one was big in terms of volume, but the subsequent ones start to decline, and the past couple of days we see some buying from the bottom, even though it's coming closer to the orange line. Today's candle, or the volume for today's candle, is lower. So let's hope it continues to travel between the orange and the yellow, and trending upwards is even better. And let's draw an air hockey table and see where it's heading. Alright, here we go. A more gradual trend. Just to make sure the wicks, these two especially, are included, and the top obviously are these two. EVA extended box all the way to the orange line. Okay, that's pointing to a very far date. It's at a month from now, around mid-January. A bit far, not too far. A month, we can wait. Right? If you have been through the 2023 hibernation period, that accumulation that lasted for a year and a half, or for some almost 2 years, these kind of wait for a month is nothing. So it has traveled to the stronger side of the table on the 9th, and currently is still staying above. So that's a slightly positive sign. So if it continues to trace towards that tip of the triangle that we just talked about, by mid-Jan, it will confirm, okay, we are really starting a new trend. Not going to bounce back and seek deeper to the red key level. Currently, it's still too early to decide. So let's give it, let's give it a few more weeks and see where it's heading. Okay, don't be surprised, however, if it comes down along the downward channel or the air hockey table to come to the red key level. Okay, the hope is that this sideways trend continue, but the downside risk still exists, especially if we go back to the weekly chart. When I said in the very beginning that this week from above, even though the volume is low, is something that's a little bit slightly worrying. Next, immutable legs, IMX. It's at least a third of the accumulation cycle, assuming we've got a very long accumulation. It has been through this for almost an entire year already. Alright, at least a third, if not half. And obviously October 10th set a very low level. If we look to the left, no such level has been tested for immutable. That's around 22 cents. Okay? Currently, it seems like it's trying to seek to that level. The volume has been quite high. Right? You see it's not really dropping. This week is a little bit better. Alright, it's like half or less than half of last week, and it's lower than what we've got over the past 5 weeks. So hopefully it's slowly or gradually releasing the selling pressure. Okay, this diamond hands, paper hands test go really deep this time. And for this, it may be a spring. Okay, because here IMX has gone through a sign of strength already. Okay, this can be a spring, meaning it may be something that, you know, is planned before the price pump. Okay, just a maybe, because we never know. Once it started to pump, then we'll know. Daily chart, what it is telling us. Downtrends, obviously, no, there's no clear sideways movement compared to the other charts, but it's heading towards a less steep path. Okay, you see from this, currently is slightly bending, not a lot, but still a good sign. So this, where the ceiling crosses the red key level, is pointing towards somewhere around January 20th. Sorry, pressed the wrong button. Assuming it's continued to trade towards the red key level and, you know, heads towards the tip of the triangle, by mid-late January we'll get an answer. You know, you going really to go deeper than where the October 10th go? No, nobody would believe that for now. But if it does, then we won't be surprised. However, when we look at this, over the past 7-8 days or 9 days, the volume has been pretty low. So to me, it seems like it's stabilizing. You know, these 4 days over here, you know, with high volume, these 4 bars corresponding to these 4 candlesticks, it means to me there were quite a bit of change of hands. You know, quite a number of people buying, higher than average, but there are also quite a number of people, you know, yeah, both selling and buying. You know, more people than average. Let's put it this way, simpler. You know, so that's probably a good sign. Maybe there are diamond hands or whales getting in at that point. You know, after the initial buying, they start to buy more. You know, seeing the price drop to a low enough level. You know, when it gets close to where the October 10th reached, for a couple of coins that has set the all-time low on that particular day, whoever got in around that time are likely thinking that, you know, they found a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and they're not going to let it go, and they became diamond hands, you know, on that day. You know, when the price gets close to that level, the chance of those people selling gets lower, and the whales knows about this. And at a certain point, you know, after they test enough for this paper hands, diamond hands challenge, they will know, okay, yeah, those guys are not going to sell, and that's where the horizontal trend starts. Alright, so that's for immutable legs. Now let's get to PEPE. This lovely frog. While it's loading, I need to hydrate myself. So, PEPE, similar to the others, somewhere between preliminary support and selling climax, so I'm not going to repeat. So you see similar pattern, long wicks from the key level above, for this case 4893, the light blue key level. And if we go to the daily chart, here we see something sideways. Okay, again, different from immutable just now. If we draw this air hockey table, okay, this one is definitely a little bit steeper than the earlier ones, but still, it's getting close to a trend change confirmation. Alright, don't forget about the center line. It's obviously trading on the stronger half of the table. And where are the dates? So the first opportunity comes, assuming it continues to trade sideways. It even tried to break outside at one point, for this December 12th, 2 days ago, that triangle, okay? Unfortunately, right on the 10th, it got rejected. So the next one is pointing towards the end of this year, somewhere around December 30th. That's the first opportunity. The second one points towards 19th of Jan. So if it really is during the unfortunate case that it drops deeper, meaning the selling climax isn't at this level, then we have to look towards somewhere around the third week of Jan when the opportunity comes. The next opportunity comes after the end of the year. Okay, those two are the two trend change confirmation dates. Okay, that's PEPE. Next, PENGU, the lovely penguin. Very similar to PEPE. No need to explain, right? The volume isn't very low as well. Maybe there are people buying from the dip, but also it got clear rejection from the light blue key level of 1 cent 30. When we get to the daily charts, here, again, some sort of sideways, slightly trending upwards, just slightly, not a lot. Let's draw the air hockey table. It went through a very steep path, trading on the weaker half for quite a while. Let's notch the box, make sure it's tight enough to the wicks. Okay, and center line. Alright, so there are 2 dates we're looking at. Okay, for one, if this is really is an uptrend support, it's pointing towards this date. This is December 20th, roughly a week from now. And this next one is the ceiling against the green key level of 0101. That's pointing towards the silent night. So by any of these 2 dates, assuming the price doesn't come down, today's volume is kind of neutral. The candlestick is long, but the volume isn't that high, so it makes us slightly feel better. However, it's weekend, so we don't know what's going to happen when weekdays come. Okay, look at what happened over here on Monday. Okay, December 1st, Sunday it looks alright, Saturday looks not too bad, but Monday, whoops. Let's hope this trend line is going to stop the price drop, and if it trades towards around December 20th, it may confirm that it's going to break outside of this downtrend. If not, we probably have to wait till Christmas. So that's PENGU. Next, SHIB, Shiba Inu. So this lovely dog, cute, lovely dog over here. Very similar, right? Just that we are still again waiting for the confirmation of the selling climax. These long wicks from the top, it challenged both the green key level of 885 and also the light blue key level last week of 937. So again, we're waiting for the selling climax to confirm, and by the time we see the automatic rally, that is basically almost like 100% that we know where the selling climax is. Currently, this is a guess. Okay, let's hope this doesn't come any further down, because 2 days ago, actually 3 days ago, when this volume was highest across the past 10-14 days, it was pretty strong buying from the yellow key level 815. However, today it has gone lower than this yellow key level again. Alright, though similar to the previous ones, we see a seeming uptrend support here, but today is kind of breaking it. Alright, even yesterday. Yesterday was marginal. Today is definitely going lower than that. So we need to refer back to the air hockey table. So here, the air hockey travels along, and currently it sits, the price, the puck sits at the stronger side of the table. And where it's pointing to here, let's assume both scenarios. Okay, if it trades sideways, finding support at the yellow key level of 815, which I said it's been challenged, that date points to January the 4th. Alright, if it really doesn't hold, if the yellow key level really doesn't hold and it comes back down to challenge the orange key level of 760, that points to January 18th. That's the next opportunity. Let's hope that at least it's going to travel sideways, even if it's going to come down to challenge the 760 orange key level. The red key level 681 that was set by the October 10th. Nothing else in the past for SHIB has tested that level. So let's hope that won't happen. Oh, sorry, I missed it. It's actually even further. It did happen to SHIB back in 2023. Actually, it went lower than October 10th. So let's hope these doesn't come back. These were the early days back in 2021. So while they can be of reference, just that they are a bit far from where we are now. So let's hope this is about to show up and it doesn't go lower than the orange key level. But there is a chance if we look at what happened just in late 2023. And October 10th kind of showed us that it can still go to that point if the sentiments continue to get worse. Next is SPX 6900. It has shown an automatic rally and it is actually coming back down for more tests. So it's a little bit ahead of the others. And if we go to the daily charts, and if we look at this, it's basically okay, remember this, the accumulation cycle trading range top. Alright, that's somewhere around the green key level, a little bit above the green key level of 707. Let's assume it's the light blue key level of 782. So when it is coming down for more tests, when the sign of strength eventually comes, let's hope that sign of strength, oh, where is the tech? It should be here. Okay, it's just too far. Let's hope it at least challenge the light blue key level of 782 with a clear white volume bar. Okay, so we want something like these during the late November period, not these ones, not the early December ones. Okay, so more tests to come, and we're hoping for a challenge towards the the light blue key level of 782. Next, sandbox. So let's see where sandbox is in terms of the big picture. Sandbox, again, seeking for the selling climax, not going to repeat, go straight to the daily view, and there we go. The downtrend, that's channel box or air hockey table, yeah, roughly about right, is currently is landing on the yellow key level of 12 cents 60. And it's on the weaker side of the table, unfortunately. So it may take a while. The volume is getting lower. Let's hope that, for the coming days, it's going to stay low on the red days. It's not very solid, the yellow one. October 10th tested all the way to the red key level of 5 cents 18. In between there's still the orange key level of 8 cents 08. If we look to the left, let's see where did I get the orange. So here, that's the period where we find the orange. That's back to 2021 February. So quite some time ago, but still can be of our reference, especially the price still coming down with a big price spread. No sign of sideways trading yet, so let's hope it finds support at this yellow key level of 12 cents 60. If not, we have to rely on the 8 cent 08. Assuming it finds support and started trading sideways between 16-14 cents, the green key level, and the yellow key level, this is pointing towards 11th of February. Okay, so that's the picture or the chance to break outside of the downtrend. Is a little bit later than the others, seemingly, but there's still a chance that it bounces strongly to set the automatic rally and eventually break outside of this trend here. That's pointing towards 6th of January or the 5th or somewhere around that time, the very first week of 2026. Okay, that's a slightly more positive scenario. Okay, assuming it bounces from the yellow key level. Next, undead game. So zombies, it's completely different from the others, but the caveat is that it's a very young coin. Alright, it's less than 2 years old. I'm making an assumption here that it has gone through an accumulation period during the 4th quarter of 2024 and accumulated all the way through to August actually this year before it shoots up to the buying climax. I'm making a big assumption here for this young coin. It has just gone through the automatic reaction, so just last week. And currently it may be having a second test. We don't know yet because the week is still developing and it can still continue to go up and set an upthrust. Okay, that's the positive scenario. However, the negative scenario is that it may die down to set a sign of weakness, somewhere below the yellow key level of $2.08 or somewhere like between this yellow and the orange key level of 1.73. And even more drastic is that it doesn't even set a sign of weakness. It goes all the way to the accumulation, back to preliminary support stage, and eventually, all the rest of the test. Okay, that's the pessimistic scenario. Let's get to the daily chart. Here, we have this uptrend, a fairly jerky uptrend. Let's draw this. It actually has changed. Initially, it was kind of gradual until the point of this sudden pump back in, somewhere around October, November time. Now, interestingly, what happened over here is that the week of October 10th, or the day of October 10th, actually didn't drop. Okay, the rest of the world, crypto world, everybody dropped. For undead, it's really undead. Okay, it's just a cross, a white cross over there. It wasn't dropping. It only flattened out and then it did another run. So that's the crazy thing that happened to undead. So assuming that this is the uptrend that it has been going through. Okay, I'm ignoring those two spikes for now. Just taking these. It's too much. Okay. Yeah, somewhere around here. Just a little tighter. Okay, so currently it's trading on the weaker half of the box, of the air hockey table, trying to go back to above the center line. However, the volume remains average, right? It's not too low. This day where somebody bought from below the light blue key level of 2.39, that was higher than average. So that means there are still people willing to get in. Maybe the game is really attracting a vibrant community, and that's why it's not willing to go below the light blue key level. And also because that was actually a support range during October 17 all the way to November the 4th, okay, before it dipped for another climb. So if it really comes down, the key point is that you see it's finding resistance right now at the blue key level of 2.61. If it really comes down, let's say the pessimistic scenario first, where it comes to the yellow key level to set the sign of weakness, if it trades sideways above the light blue key level, because what we see over here, it's pointing towards January 21st, okay? Assuming it trades sideways. However, if it really comes down to below the light blue key level and just to stay above the green, that's pointing towards the 5th of January. Okay, we are already here. Unless it dropped crazily today or tomorrow to get outside of the channel, which doesn't seem likely. Not that it did not happen. It happened on the 5th. Okay, it went all the way below the yellow support line, the key level, just to find support from the bottom of the upward channel. Okay, the ascending channel. That was crazy. So it can happen. Okay, who knows what's going to happen next day, when the week start. So assuming that's not the case, those 2 dates, Jan 22nd, the 5th of Jan, are the ones, and even earlier, right around Boxing Day, if it comes down to the green, or below the green, and bounces off from the bottom edge of the upward channel. But this is less likely, around Christmas. This second likely, more likely, is the 3rd week of Jan, assuming it's continues to trade sideways. Just that, looking at the volume, currently we can't really tell where it's heading. If it comes down for a sign of weakness, then it's not going to wait that long from what I see. Okay, it has to travel this long to come down here. Looking at this, it's not like what it is going to happen. About the same length. It probably happened somewhere when the year begins. breaking us off the channel. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it reaches the sign of weakness at the beginning of the year. But that's only the pessimistic side. The positive side is that it bounces or it even travels above the blue key level, setting an up thrust. Okay, I'm just tagging this as a temporary tag. It can definitely come up and show us an up thrust. Alright, whether it's immediately the next candle or is it going to bounce from the bottom edge of the channel and come up again, those are the scenarios that can happen. Those are the positive scenarios. Okay, but the volume has to come higher if that's the case. Look at the volume over here. October 6th, the week, that was pretty high, and the week after, the price doesn't rise a lot anymore. There may be quite a number of people selling. Remember, okay, the big guys may be selling, and eventually, this towards the buying climax, the volume just gets lower, much lower. Almost a third or even a quarter of what we had during beginning of October. So that's probably a warning sign. Okay, the steam is losing. Finally, last but not least, WEMIX. WEMIX is going through the mid stage of accumulation cycle. It has shown a sign of strength already during mid-July, and it's still coming back down for a test, currently staying above the orange key level of 36 cents 30. Okay, previously it had a very deep test during the last week of May, early June. So we hope to see another sign of strength with similar volume, or best if it carries even more volume. And this time not to stop below the purple key level of $1.19. That's where it stopped in late July. We want it to travel higher so that it challenged the level that the automatic rally demonstrated. That's around $1.37. If we get to the daily chart, so here, the downtrend hasn't finished yet. So there's downtrend over here that started from this top. Again, assuming it's not a steep one, just a more gradual downtrend. Just to make sure the wicks are included. Okay, let's assume this is what it is for the time being. We've got the center line. Currently, the puck is still traveling at the lower half of the channel or the table. And it seems to find support at the orange key level 363. That was 0.363. Because especially on Thursday, when it tried to dig deeper than the orange key level, it got pretty strong buy from that level. So let's hope that the horizontal trend starts from here. We won't get a confirmation until the point when we get to somewhere mid-March. Unfortunately, that's very long. So let's see whether there is an earlier date, assuming it's going to climb back to the previous level. That points to somewhere in mid-Feb. So yeah, it has to wait for a little longer seemingly to get a confirmation that it's really exiting a sideways trend. Yeah, because if we don't draw the box and we just look at it, oh, it started to trade sideways, hooray! Between the orange key level and the yellow key level of 0.552, we won't know, because if it travels this way, like it's seemingly traveling sideways. But when it gets to this tip, it may dip. Okay, then we know, okay, it's actually the downtrend isn't over yet. So let's keep observing by the time we get into 2026. Again, not saying it can't shoot up and break outside. No, on the very first week of Jan, it needs a bit of more buying and volume, like I said in the beginning, to travel back above the yellow key level of 0.552. By then, it can catch the train of the year begin breakout opportunity. Alright, let's go back to the big picture, take a last look. Yeah, that's where it is. For a deep test, much lower than the selling climax. So let's hope it climbs back to above the yellow key level and show us the sign of strength. Best case scenario is by New Year that would happen, to at least breaking the yellow key level. However, the more likely case would be range bound between the orange key level of 363 and the yellow key level of 0.552. Okay, thanks for joining me for this fourth speedrun session. Again, it took longer than expected because I did quite a number of things for the first time, like drawing those air hockey tables. But for the coming sessions, they will be much quicker because I won't repeat those lengthy explanations. Thanks for joining me. Hope you like this new format, which allows me to cover more projects which the community has been asking for, and also I've got more time to start developing other contents that either the community has requested or I find that would be interesting for you. Okay,